Okay, welcome back on in. It is God's Reign and TYLOO for tonight at the ESL Challenger League Season 49 Asia Pacific. It is regular season match, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. But again, Pilski, these are 4 VRS points at the end of the day, so always important, particularly if you're a team like TYLOO, who is looking at being one of those teams to make it all the way to the major.
We'll be seeing Mosey in the server instead of Cammy, so no coach sub this time around. Full banana control here for TYLOO. 3-man stack on B from God's Reign. No one really in a forward info finding position though, so they're going to trust that stack up behind the smoke that they've dropped inside of main. And TYLOO in the meanwhile, they're just going to breach brackets and kick off and execute into this A site. Only 2 players here to defend.
Yeah, G, nice start. Fired Up going to go down early, and while Rossi had control of carpets, it's not going to be for very long. Mercury just coming in late on the lurk, catches him in the back, and that'll be a pretty straightforward pistol for TYLOO, you'd think.
Looking like it. God's Reign may set up for some exits here. Try to get those plus $300 in the bank account, save some armor. But any chance of completing a retake, pretty much a foregone conclusion with how clean that take was from TYLOO.
Yeah, B2 just going to try to save the dualies and the armor for the next round. Looks like he will be challenged by Mercury, and that's likely to go wrong for him, but apparently nobody's hit a shot. Attacker can't quite catch up with him. Oh, okay. TYLOO wins the round. B2 keeps his dualies. Not sure how big of a difference that's going to make, but he's got at least something to play with in the next round, so that helps.
Thinking about what to buy here. Did see him actually buy a scout, throw it over to Fired Up. It will be a force in the second round from God's Reign here. As is, pretty common on this map. A lot of smoke investments, a couple of flashes, some HEs to chip down some damage on these TYLOO players as they move through the map. TYLOO just going to run a pretty normal looking default double nade towards car, mollies onto main and sandbags, and they secure banana control pretty easy breezy. That's not what you wanted to see from Bavi. Already going down early on. Easy little entry for Jam Young. Did not really have to work for that one too hard at all.
Yeah, Mercury with that Mac 10. Going to be the one to do a bit of exploring at the top of Nana, but nothing really doing at the moment. God's Reign hiding behind this smoke. They do, however, have 3 players with another one rotating over toward that B bomb site. So this would be a nice stack from God's Reign if TYLOO do decide to go B, and it looks as though they will be doing so. Smoke's going to come through for Coils and for CT. Molly will push R2B2 out of first oranges, and that has prompted a bit of aggression out from God's Reign. They haven't quite got their timing right on that one, and in the end it's really not particularly threatening for TYLOO, despite the fact that God's Reign had all of their forces on B. And so the scoreline will be 2-0.
God's Reign is going to have to take a full save before they can buy up into the next round, but things going pretty breezy for TYLOO so far. Not really running into too much opposition. Haven't seen a gun round just yet though. I remember did have a good little performance on the AWP last time I watched God's Reign from Fired Up. So definitely wanting to be keep an eye on him. TYLOO just working their way through bracket is a B stack for God's Reign. So it's instantly just going to turn into attempted exits at some point for God's Reign. Probably go down and take some mid control first.
Easy plan. Young goes down. The USP's doing a little bit of work there. That's quite nice. Of course, Mercury will be able to pick that AK back up, so it's not a huge amount of damage really by God's Reign, but just showing that there is some capability there with the aim to get something done, and hopefully that will translate to the point where they've actually got guns and they can bring this fight to TYLOO. But obviously it's been tough going after losing that pistol. 3-0 now though, and that buy is coming through for God's Reign.
Good job cycling out the Mac 10 there. only the Mac 10 and armor really lost for TYLOO plus nades. So as you can see, their economy is in a great state right now. It'll take a fair bit of concerted effort from God's Reign to get back into this game. Fired up straight on the AWP into round 4 here. Looking for a pick towards dig side. Gonna slide out actually onto the boiler line, so maybe trying to isolate this Carpet's defaulter, but the molly tickles his toes and in towards Banana. Barbie doubles up very easily. This is exactly how you wanted this first come round to start for God's Reign.
Yeah, indeed. That's fantastic. Mosaic also taken out by Fired Up, so big difference made by the guns, apparently. Attacker and Mercury will have to try to stabilize at least something in this round. Maybe if they could even take a gun or two away, they'll be able to walk away and say, we've got something out of that round. But the way things are looking at the moment, they're not going to get anything out of this one. And Barbie just shoulder spotting around that corner. What? He's just deleted attacker as well. I'm not too sure about the shift fall through the smoke at that point. 5v1, you maybe don't need to be doing that necessarily, but either way, they are now aware that Mercury is sitting in Banana, so they'll be able to set themselves up just to make sure that he can't get anywhere at all. Fired Up will go and hold the long line with the AWP. They'll set up towards CT. It's going to work out. And a really nicely played round in the end from God's Reign. 1-3 the score.
Yeah, good start. 4 guns surviving. Could have even been 5 if you didn't see a bit of a miss push through the smoke there. But this is about as good as you wanted your first gun round to go. Not only did they clean it up relatively easily, but, I mean, also kind of soft conditioned TYLOO to kind of respect that banana control a little bit. Not that I think they're going to care too much. 4 players were committing off the start there towards Banana. B2's just juggling some extra utility. Once again, TYLOO not dissuaded whatsoever. Progression smoke with a little bit of a tower boost over the top of it. Opens up the accounting for G. Nice little angle in towards main. Barbie wanted to continue to fight, but ends up getting Barbied a little bit. 66 HP. And a man here for God's Reign.
Okay, 1-for-1 on the entry. That is not ideal for God's Reign. It's going to leave Rossi pretty high and dry. He's found a pretty nice timing there, actually, but just couldn't quite manage to grasp a kill. And so the A site will be lost. The bomb plant's going to go down. God's Reign are going to be forced to save, which is less than ideal, but considering they saved 5 guns through, or 4 guns through last round, they will be able to buy into the next round, so they can keep fighting for things.
Yeah, keep it closely contested if possible. Mercury trying to throw the AWP out of the map. It's a good opener from G, and just like a nice little set play from TYLOO. The progression smoke up onto log side just to be able to deal with any kind of set mollies from the CTs. Spawn-based tower boost to be able to find that opening kill in towards main. It's some pretty good stuff from TYLOO. Definitely seem to be adding a lot more structure to their gameplay, having spent some time playing at international events. I think a couple of years ago, you saw that kind of structure from TYLOO, you would have been very surprised.
Yeah, exactly. But it's good to see, isn't it? TYLOO. I don't know. I don't know if they're there yet. You know what I mean? Like, I want to believe. I want to believe that they could be even 50% of what the current day Mongols is. And I believe that they could do that, but I've been burned before, you know what I mean? Like, I've had these feelings before, I've had these thoughts before. But I have faith. Things are going pretty nicely under this Mercury system. 4-1 the scoreline against God's Reign. I mean, that's nothing to necessarily write home about, but it is further indication that things are going okay. Mercury does get team flash there by G, though. It's not going to be too much of a problem as God's Reign are not holding forward here on the A-bomb site.
With util in towards bracket, flash up over the top. Confirms the AWP is in dig and pushes him off the line. Fired up though. Sliding back onto the boiler line. G posted, waiting for him on bracket but conceding it. Allowing Mosey to be left on the lurk as they throw a progression smoke on towards jungle. Just to be able to apply a little bit more pressure before the B contact comes in. That does actually pull a double rotation away from the B side. It's just B2 in B on his own with absolutely no utility and no help.
B2, see what he can do. Flash is going to team flash him. And that was a team flash. Either way, he's able to get himself a couple as that flash did start to fade. TYLOO didn't quite scale on in, so I think that flash actually just caught everybody, apparently. 2v2 now, though, with the bomb plant down, is still favorable for TYLOO, and G's gotten into the back of site, which is obviously quite a potent position to play with the AWP from. Molly out there for attacker if worst comes to worst. You can just molly off the bomb. There's no smoke to deny that. Defuse going to be difficult to come by here. Molly to new box. Won't find anything at all. And now G giving away his position, but still landing his shot. And the nade will be too much to dig him out, or won't do too much to dig him out, I should say. Attacker will clean it up in the end. And it's a pretty straightforward round. Once again for TYLOO, you know, down to one player, but it didn't really look like it was ever going to be close in that round.
Money's starting to get into a weird state now for God's Reign. Have to decide what they want to be doing with it. Does seem like they're just going to half bite. Min-max the max loss bonus that they've got. Be able to string as many gun rounds as they can together going forward and give themselves an outside shot at just doing some damage. Keeping the money on the T side low because it still really hasn't had a chance to build up the economy. They have been taking enough guns away to keep things competitive. Util exchanged on Banana. TYLOO just happy to hold on to control up to half wall before they take that next layer of control. No presence around the map for TYLOO, so this would probably just be a contact up into the smoke and then pretty quickly into an execute from there.
Yeah, rough spot to be in for Barbie. Bit too much to do, you'd think. Don't hate the idea, though, from God's Reign to stack the A-bomb side. I think you've got to stack somewhere in a round like this. It's just unfortunate that they've chosen the wrong side of the map, though. They are starting to get that information. B2 will be pushing to the bottom of Banana. Barbie went a little bit early. Rotation did come through from God's Reign, or was coming through from God's Reign, but now maybe they're going to think better of it. Timing here for B2 to creep into Banana, though, is quite a nice one, and he'll catch Mercury. So, hang on. There could be something in this one now that he's got an AK in hand. Do God's Reign want to go for this? They've got a flash in Finn's hand, and Rossi has a smoke. The flash did get tossed and amounted to not a whole lot. So, R2B2 down now. And the rest of the team will be following suit if they stick around much longer. Fired up, the last one standing. Won't get anything done. 6-1, TYLOO continue to maintain a solid T side.
Yeah. Just swatting away the half bite. Attack timeout coming out for God's Reign. Not something that we see used too much in ECL. I feel like a lot of teams kind of forego it, just go through the motions round to round. So it does indicate that they are putting some kind of stock and sway into winning this game against TYLOO here. I like it, you know. I like that you see the seriousness, the competitiveness coming out. It's a good timing for them to start to turn their fortunes around because they're going to have a lot of chances to string these gun rounds together round to round to round, especially if they're responsible with their saves on the max loss bonus. Can try to scrape together a couple of CT side gun rounds. Fired ups on the ult once again. Hasn't really been taking it towards the B side of the map very much yet. This time on the jungle sideline. But the progression smoke gonna disrupt him. And G's gonna pick Rossi right off the bat there. Where was that? Was that brackets side?
Top of A. Brackets, yeah. Under that smoke in brackets.
Not how you wanted that gun round to start for God's Reign. There's the retake util on Banana.
Brackets taken by TYLOO without too much stress. Quite a weak A-hold at the moment. Finn in transition. I mean, if you're God's Reign here, with the money that you've got, you could honestly just play a bit more of a retake setup on A and save the 4 guns towards B. They're going to play for the hold, though. Finn just getting flashed out by G, so taken down and fired up. The only one there that could really cause any extra damage is going to be pushed away by the smoke in Arch, and God's Reign will be forced to save once again, which is becoming a bit of a recurring trend. The problem, of course, is that now they're starting to run out of rounds in this half. It's up to 7, or it will be up to 7 shortly for TYLOO. And at a certain point, you can't keep saving these rounds, even though it is the quote-unquote correct play.
Nice exit for B2. Looking sharper on the exits. Padding up his stats a little bit. There's still room to scrape together. I would say try and go for 4 or 5 here, obviously. But it feels like these entries are quite easy to come by for TYLOO. Like, you've just taken attack timeout, you know, you've saved accordingly to be able to put together these gun rounds, and then you're losing a pick on your dig side rifler. Like, how often will you see top teams lose their dig side rifler picking top mid in the smoke like that? It's very, very rare occurrence, so these are the kind of opening kills that you can't really afford to be giving away to a team of like TYLOO.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? That first gun round was so clean from God's Reign. You think, okay, you know, we might be onto something tonight. But ever since then, it's almost been like TYLOO just kind of like doing their runs into a scrim and hitting these bomb sites over and over and over again. And I don't even necessarily know if they're learning a huge amount out of this game. It doesn't really feel like TYLOO's being tested all that much right now. P2's been pretty decent over towards that B site. Everybody else going a little bit missing. God's Reign need to find a way to have an impact in these rounds before the executes come through, because those are just a little too on point. That's better. Barbie getting a kill early in the round puts it in the favor of God's Reign. 5v4 now.
Doesn't fill you with much confidence, though. Inferno, notoriously one of the easier maps to complete in man disadvantage situations on the T side. Only pressure on bracket. Finn gonna respect that utility. TYLOO gonna group up towards A here. God's Reign with not really any information towards that B side of the map. Need a solid hold on the dig and pit side here between Rossi and Fired Up. Finn's got a couple of flashes he could peg over Graveyard side, but he's rotating to B. This looks a little too easy, doesn't it?
Yep. Another couple of quick, clean entries from TYLOO. I mean, you're up. Now, this will be now 8-1. Assuming God's Reign don't go for the retake, which, again, they don't really want to. You're up 8-1, and Mose is just there like, yeah, 3-2. Haven't really had to do much this game. So, effort by committee, really, from TYLOO. I just don't know what the answer is for God's Reign. Like, sometimes you're just outmatched, and it feels like this is one of those games.
Save will give them access to another gun round at least. Get an AWP drop over maybe even. So got Barbie sitting up 5.6. But yeah, definitely, like I said, even if God's Reign do find an opener, feels very easy for TYLOO to complete the 4 and 5. 2 A-side entries looking way too easy, way too clean. God's Reign doesn't feel like they're ready for like that kind of contact play. They're reading it as a B ending when they don't really have any information to suggest so.
Ooh. Good damage onto B2, but some decent damage back onto Attacker and G. The problem is, it is going to be ultimately a favorable trade for TYLOO, whichever way you paint it. B now under some serious threat with top of Nana being taken. there's that benefit, obviously, of Mercury having gone down in brackets to at least keep it out of 4-on-4. Ooh, an attacker being spotted out by Barbie. Gods Rain won't half mind that. For the first time in a while, it feels like at least they have somewhat of a winnable round. Now, I'm a bit concerned about Finn. He's given up the A site. He's gone for a little bit of a walk into middle, second middle even. He will catch Mosea on the timing. The issue is he's allowed the bomb to cross, and G's going to catch up with Jam Young as well. He almost went down as well, but bomb plant. And so TYLOO 2v3. This is a winnable round, of course, for God's Rain, but G, a dangerous man on this map. This is probably one of his favorite angles with that AWP. We'll turn away from the flash. Here comes God's Rain. Shot misses, but Jam Young still alive, and he can sometimes be that difference maker for TYLOO. Of course he will. You just see it coming together, don't you? When it's Jam Young left alive, it doesn't matter. TYLOO are still going to win the round.
It's too good in the mid to late round. He's always just been an impeccable clutch player. Attack timeout for God's Rain. But I just really don't think, regardless of tactical adjustment, they've got really much of a hope in this game right now. Because even if they're creating opportunities, they're creating openings, they're up in numbers. TYLOO, just the individual brilliance and the protocols to be able to just contact into some of these duels or be able to clutch up in man disadvantage situations is just too much for God's Rain to deal with, really.
Yeah. Do be like that sometimes when you're playing against TYLOO. What's your take? Do you really believe in this TYLOO team?
I'm not sure yet. I'm really not sure yet.
It's a nice flash.
I have to see one more.
B2 caught completely blind. Barbie will get the 1-for-1 trade at least. He's now under a bit of pressure here at the top of sandbags. Mercury's going to walk himself through a smoke again, going down in brackets. Back to the 3-on-4. This round is going to now slow down for a bit.
Can see Mosey sticking around, trying to pick someone on the rotation. Rossi is being very patient here, not feeding the extra kills. Smoke towards main from the CT. Smoke onto jungle side obscures Fire's Up's vision. And as he moves over towards jungle side, he exchanges damages with Mosey. So they know the lurk is over on Carp's side, but that doesn't really give them too much info about where this ending is coming in, because they've smoked off main themselves over on the B side of the map. Flash onto bracket. Is a little bit of a tell that there's A pressure, but Finn is going to rotate towards B.
Might have been the wrong move. Fired up, going down on A. TYLOO don't have many options but to push through this smoke, though, and Rossi is still in pit, playing a very passive safe line. I kind of like that from him. The molly's not going to go quite deep enough to catch him. He can stay here. Of course, he will allow the bomb plant to go down, but it's pivotal that he locks in on this position because it prevents exactly that. Mosea cannot get off the site. Rossi just has to survive and let his teammates come across and give him a bit of help. TYLOO are stuck in the site. This is an awful post plant for them, but you know they might just still find a way to win it. Now it's back to 2-on-2. Barbie's been spotted out. Attacker with a little bit of a whiff, but he gets back into shape, picks up that kill, and 1 HP is not enough for Rossi. God's Rain, they'll drop another round, and that is just down to, again, an individual diff from TYLOO.
Absolutely. 4K from attacker this time. Last time it was Jam Young who got that 4K clutch on that A side of the map. And God's Rain last round of the half here. Down to MP9s on 2 players, no AWP. Pretty uninspired game of Inferno from them today. Are going to push down mid on the low buy, which is going to be pretty easy for TYLOO to recognize and to read. And you can see they're punishing accordingly. Easy double for Jam Young.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a bit hard, I guess, as God's Rain. You have these sort of close rounds here and there, and you kind of know that the half has just slipped away at this point. Maybe that confidence and whatnot is just going to slip for a second there as well at the start of this round, and TYLOO will very much take advantage of it. Does look like it's going to be an 11-1 half here. Attacker does get booked by that MP9. Now it's G's turn. Orp to find the exchange. We'll leave Rossi alone as he works his way in through construction to try to have a look at that B bomb site. The bomb ticking away in front of him. Standard default plant. He doesn't really have too many resources at his disposal, but this molly's going to be a good one. It is going to force G out of position, but it won't matter as long as G hits the shot, and that is what occurs. So very nice first half, I have to say, from TYLOO. Welcome back into the second half here between TYLOO and God's Reign, and I feel like I say this a lot of the time on ESL Challenger League, but this may not be a very long second half. First half was 11-1. TYLOO looking very, very dominant. And look, there was one really good round from God's Reign. The first gun round was really good. But that was it. That was literally all they could put together. And so it's pretty obvious that TYLOO certainly more than a match for God's Reign today. We'll see how this pistol goes, if we're going to get a super quick map or not. Jose not moving a muscle, but now going to be spotting out the head of R2B2. And unfortunately for him, he had to take a second swing at the head because he got the headshot through the wall. So that cost him a bit of extra time. And TYLOO, they actually lose the round as a result. Jam Young tapping away at 14 HP. He still gets one before going down.
2-on-3 retake. Bomb taking a long time to get planted. It's giving TYLOO a lot of time to get into position here. Plant coming through on stats side. Attacker fails to pick one on the cross.
Still winnable. Attacker and G both full HP. Swing's going to come through from God's Reign, and that'll be the end of Attacker. Looks like in the meanwhile, G wasn't able to hit too many shots, but has now taken down Finn. He's going to have to move pretty quickly. I don't recall if there was a defuse kit anywhere here for TYLOO in the round. And if there is not, the round is probably already over at this point. Fired up, just creeping back onto the line. Finish the job off. So we are going to be left wanting perhaps another 2 or 3 rounds here before TYLOO can close things out. But if some of their previous matches are anything to go by, there's a reasonable chance they're just going to force into this one anyway.
Take a look. A lot of rifles coming out here for God's Reign. Very much respecting and expecting a force. And they'll be correct about that. Galil's going to tear through a lot of these players that haven't bought head armor, but for the most part, it's been a good decision. MP9 scouts and a Mag 7 on Banana. Solo Banana Mag 7 here while the SMGs push down middle.
That'll do it. 3-for-1 trade so far, and they know that Finn is kind of stuck. Jamyoung from range. Mag 7 to the head of Finn. And all of a sudden, it is Rossi who's alive solo. They are aware of his position. He's making some steps, and so Jamyoung says, I'll take that one, thank you very much. AKs around the place for TYLOO to go and collect, and that'll pretty much be the map.
One would assume so. Not much God's Reign can really buy up into this one. Just pistols and armor. Very limited util. Got hard reset. Right on that point. And a lot picked up there by TYLOO. Jesus. 2 AKs and 2 Galils. Didn't even really need to buy primary rifles into this round. They've just been handed over by the T side. God's Reign waiting for their timing to take Banana. Flashes go up over the top. And they don't really catch Jamyoung. I don't know where that flash went, but they still go 1-for-1.
Rosé does a good job of slowing them down with that second flash, but he's now got a bit of a job to do here. Wisely just going to back out and let Mercury take that swing. God's Reign expecting the swing from the left. It comes from the right, and Mercury on cleanup duty has definitely picked up more than his fair share of kills in that round. So that'll be that. Map 1 done and dusted. 13-2 for TYLOO. A pretty dominant display, and I guess that's going to give God's Reign a lot to think about and a lot to demo review in the coming week.
Yeah, lots to work on there for God's Reign. Had a promising round or two, but